So now we're continuing to work on the styling of our default website, and we've added in some left-hand menu items. So these are going to be more what we're using it for within this site is these kind of call to actions to kind of get some kind of action. So we want to attract attention to them without distracting from the website content itself. So someone comes to the website, you want to subtly try to get someone to take these calls to action because maybe these are where you're making the money on the website, or these are the tunnels that you want to get people to flow through. So you want to get people to take action on these. So what we've used here is we've used what's called a Bootstrap well, and what this is a rounded border element. It's got kind of a gray background, has some padding to it, and all we had to do, we just created a bunch of new divs. So wells will work within anything, so I could even add a well class to this entire row if I wanted to, and I'll just show you how that comes out. So we see that that well class gets added to the entire row, and it adds that kind of grayish background and that rounded styling to it. So depending on what you're doing with your styling, you add in the wells as needed. So what we've done here, we've made some additional divs, added the well class, and that's how we've added those elements. So you do have some options with wells. So you have a small well, you have large wells, and just to show you what the difference is, so you have to declare it. Well, you have to add in the well class, and then you can add in a large well class. So that's going to be slightly larger, and so we just removed it from the row, and you can see that the padding went away. So I always look at wells kind of similar to panels. So this is an example of a panel which is not as defined as a well, but you're able to place that kind of border around it if you want. You've also got some options for the panel itself to kind of expand on that. So you can do a panel body, a panel footer. So just going to take you to the code there, and this is our panel default that we've declared. So the reason I said that panels kind of remind me of wells is that you do have the option to style your panels. So you've got an option to put in a header, body, and footer within a panel. So these are default classes that are available within the panels, as well as this is just a panel with a body. So I had added to that kind of default panel, I added another div in, and you see it does kind of a similar type styling to the wells. So this was just panel body on its own, and we go back to the code, we can see that it's very easy to add in these kind of panels. So what we've done here, we took our original panel, default panel, and we placed that into another div with a class of panel, and we called it panel. We have panel group. So what this is doing, this is grouping all of these additional panels or this content within this panel group. So there's going to be several different panels available within a panel group, and it is kind of grouping them together as opposed to being apart. It doesn't keep as much spacing between, and it styles it much better. So it does look a lot more appealing. And then within each panel, you've got the option to do heading, you've got option to do body, you've got an option to do footer. You can leave those out. It does look better if you do keep panel body in, if you do have some content, but again, depending on the color that you want it to use, the background color and your theme colors, you might want to adjust these. And now that we're talking about themes and colors, we get back to the contextual classes, and these are the ones again that add in that color and styling into your design. And when we add in that contextual styling to the header, we see that right away it gets that kind of bluish color. So this again depends on the theme, and we can add that in anywhere we want. So it added into the primary there. If we wanted to add it in specifically to the footer, I believe this should work. We're just going to refresh that, and no, unfortunately that's not going to work because it's already default set to the background. So I believe we should be able to add it into the body. Try that one there, and if not, then we know that we have to keep the panel within the main default panel styling there. Oh, sorry, that's the reason we've got that is because we've got the defaults there, so that's why it's not actually coming coming out there. So sorry, that was just a quick mistake, so I've updated that. I didn't see that we had the default there, and we see that when we refresh it we do get that styling that's available. The one thing that also I was forgetting is that this only applies to the header because it is a panel and it's got its default colors and styling. So when you are working within a panel, you see that you do have to follow this convention where we've got a header and we can only change the header colors. So within here we change the body to a header or heading, and from there when we set the default color of the panel, the default class, contextual class of that particular div, we see that it changes the header color to the contextual color, selected contextual color. So that's how you work with panels and wells.